Quietly embracing the light, the story of a beautiful American policewoman who converted to Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother and sister, welcome back to Islamic Notes channel. Amidst the glitz and glamour of modern life in the United States, synonymous with freedom of speech and diversity, lies the heart-rending story of Melissa Carter, an accomplished policewoman who has served for over 10 years with the New York City Police Force. With her stunning appearance, strong discipline, and courage in handling various criminal cases, Melissa is often a role model among her colleagues. However, beneath her uniform and stern demeanor, Melissa harbors a profound secret unknown even to her own family. She has secretly converted to Islam. Melissa's journey to Islam began with a seemingly simple incident that left a deep impression on her. One night, while on routine patrol in Brooklyn, she helped an elderly woman wearing a hijab who had been the victim of a mugging. After helping to secure the perpetrator, the elderly woman embraced Melissa and with tears streaming down her cheeks whispered, "Thank you. May Allah reward you for your kindness." The word Allah seemed foreign at the time, but it deeply touched Melissa's heart. She became curious about the old woman's religion. From that night on, Melissa began to learn about Islam, not from the media, but from authentic, neutral sources. She read an English translation of the Quran, watched Islamic sermons, and even secretly visited a small mosque on the outskirts of town to observe Muslim worship. The more Melissa learned, the more she felt that Islamic teachings touched her deepest conscience. She was impressed by the concept of Tawheed, the oneness of God, social justice, and the spiritual depth of prayer and supplication. However, one aspect of Islam completely changed her perspective on life: the position of women in Islam. Melissa had always thought that Muslim women were constrained by rules and covering clothing. But when she read about how Islam actually elevates women, she was shocked. She began to understand that the hijab is not a symbol of oppression, but rather a form of respect for women's honor and dignity. She gradually began wearing a scarf outside of her work hours, not because she was forced to, but because it felt comfortable and protected. The most surprising reason Melissa converted to Islam wasn't marriage, coercion, or a traumatic experience. Rather, she felt she found a peace she'd never felt in the busy and harsh world of law enforcement. In Islam, she found answers to the existential questions that had plagued her, about the purpose of life, the meaning of death, and the essence of true happiness. As a police officer, I often saw the darkest side of humanity, but Islam showed me a light that could illuminate even the darkest hearts, she said in a confidential interview with an independent journalist she trusted. Melissa decided to keep her conversion a secret for some time because she was worried about the reactions of her colleagues and family, especially her deeply conservative mother. She began secretly praying 5 times a day in the break room, carrying a small Quran in her bag, and fasting during Ramadan while on duty. But over time, she increasingly felt that hiding her faith was a betrayal of the light she had discovered. One day, filled with courage, Melissa finally told her family that she had become Muslim. Despite initial rejection, her family gradually began to see positive changes in her. She became more patient, calmer, and more compassionate. Today, Melissa Carter continues her police duties with the same passion, but now with a more peaceful heart. She has become an inspiration to Muslim women in America, proving that faith and professionalism can go hand in hand. Islam is not just a religion, but a way of life that has helped me understand myself, she said at a Muslim community forum. Her story is living proof that guidance can come in unexpected ways to anyone at any time. After publicly declaring her conversion to Islam, Melissa Carter's life didn't immediately become easier. In fact, the challenges she faced became even more pronounced. Not only did she have to carry out her duties as a law enforcement officer in one of the world's most complex cities, but she also had to face cynicism, prejudice, and even scorn from some of her own colleagues. Some colleagues welcomed her decision with respect, but others began to distance themselves. One senior who had been very close to her even bluntly said, "You betrayed the values of this country." Those words hit Melissa like a bullet, but she remained steadfast, knowing that her faith never contradicted the principles of justice, integrity, and humanity. In fact, it strengthened them. Islam teaches me to be just, even to my enemies, to uphold the truth even when it's bitter, and to protect the rights of others, whoever they are, Melissa said in an interfaith discussion held in the local community. One of the most difficult decisions she had to make was wearing a hijab while on duty. Initially, she feared being dismissed or disciplined. However, after consulting with a civil rights lawyer and with great courage, she filed a formal petition to continue wearing her hijab while performing her duties as a police officer. After going through various legal and administrative processes, the police department finally approved her request. Her first day on duty wearing a hijab was a historic one, not only for Melissa, but also for the Muslim community in New York. She became one of the first hijab-wearing police officers in her unit, even appearing on the local news. This isn't just a headscarf, it's identity, it's freedom of choice, and I'm still the same police officer, strong, disciplined, and ready to protect anyone, she told reporters, her smile calm but bold. Melissa's story spread widely through social media and Muslim community networks. She began being invited to various events to share her story, from universities and interfaith communities to women's prisons, where she spoke about hope, identity, and the search for meaning in life. Numerous women, both Muslim and non-Muslim, said she was inspired by her story. Some began studying Islam, others embraced the hijab, and still others simply felt less alone in their struggles. Melissa also volunteers at a dawah and social assistance organization, where she helps new converts to Islam navigate their lives in an environment that can be less than welcoming. She never forces anyone to accept Islam, but she always opens the door to dialogue and empathy. I didn't convert to Islam because of anyone's persuasion. I converted because I read, I thought, and I felt. And now my job is to convey this beauty in the most peaceful way possible, she said during a mentoring session. Although her life is far from easy, Melissa feels stronger and more resolute than ever. In her nightly prayers, she cries not from exhaustion, but from gratitude. She has found something more than just faith. She has found direction, serenity, and a spiritual strength she never had before. Her days now begin with a quiet dawn, filled with prayer and reflection, and continue with the arduous duties of a police officer. Yet with every step, she carries an unwavering principle, that true truth depends not on human perception, but on the light that God bestows upon the heart. New life, new trials. Since embracing Islam, Melissa Carter's life has entered a completely different phase. She not only assumes the responsibilities of being a police officer in a big city, but also embraces a new identity as a Muslim woman. Although her heart is at peace, the world around her isn't yet fully prepared to accept this change. At work, some colleagues began treating her differently. Some tried to subtly avoid discussions with her, others whispered behind her back, and quite a few made hurtful jokes. So you don't eat bacon anymore? You don't drink coffee if it has creamy lard? Melissa simply responded with a smile. Deep down, she knew that patience was now part of her faith. But not all her co-workers were negative. Some were curious and began asking sincere questions. One new officer even frequently asked Melissa to bring her translated verses from the Quran, saying, "You seem calmer than anyone else in this room." Melissa's social circle also slowly changed. Her old friends who used to spend nights at bars and parties gradually drifted away. She also stopped hanging out late at night and replaced her free time with reading Islamic books, attending halakha, Islamic study groups, and occasionally participating in social programs for the homeless organized by the Muslim community. In the Muslim community, she also faced new challenges. As a convert, she often felt like an outsider, not truly part of the group. But Melissa didn't give up. She studied Arabic, deepened her knowledge of Islamic jurisprudence, and continued to learn about Islamic culture beyond rituals. I didn't convert to Islam to find an ethnic or cultural identity. I converted because of the truth I understood. Because there is one God, she said in a discussion with the convert community. The most difficult part of her life as a Muslim was her relationship with her family. Her Christian mother was deeply disappointed and even stopped speaking to her for weeks. "You're destroying what we've cultivated since we were little," her mother said in one emotional conversation. But Melissa didn't retaliate with anger. She continued to show her mother affection, helping her, visiting her, and sending her gifts as usual. Gradually, her mother began to relent. She hadn't yet accepted Islam, but she began to accept that her child had become a gentler and more loving person. Her younger brother even started reading books about Islam, curious about why Melissa had left all the Western things she once loved so much. It was at this moment that Melissa realized the silent decision she had made so long ago was slowly becoming a light that spread throughout her surroundings. Every night, Melissa prayed. In her prostration, she asked for strength. She prayed that her family would one day receive guidance. She prayed for all converts who were still struggling alone, and for all Muslim women who had to navigate two worlds, between their faith and societal expectations. She began blogging about her experiences as a Muslim woman and a police officer. Unexpectedly, her writings went viral. Many converts from around the world contacted her, from England to Canada to Turkey. She eventually opened an online community called Hijra in Uniform, a platform for men and women who wanted to maintain their faith amidst the harsh world of work. Melissa no longer hid her identity. She continues to carry out her duties on the streets of New York City, still facing crime, violence, and oppression. But she knows a heart calmed by faith cannot be shaken by the outside world. I am a Muslim woman. I am a police officer. I am a human being learning to be a better person. And none of those things contradict each other. Family reaction. Melissa Carter's decision to embrace Islam publicly was a turning point in her relationship with her family. Although she had long hidden her newfound faith, when the time came to be honest, she chose to face it with courage. The moment came in what should have been a warm atmosphere. Her mother's 60th birthday celebration. The extended family gathered. Laughter and jokes filled the dining room. Melissa arrived dressed neatly and modestly as usual, but for the first time at a family gathering, she wore a hijab. A moment of silence fell over the room. Her cousin stopped chewing. Her aunt stared intently, and her mother, Susan Carter, squinted, as if confirming whether what she saw was real or an optical illusion. "What are you wearing, Melissa?" her mother asked quietly but firmly. Melissa swallowed. She knew there was no turning back. "Mom, I've become a Muslim," she said softly. The statement exploded like a bomb in the living room. Her mother stood up, her chair sliding violently. "What did you say?" Her voice rose. "You converted to that religion? After everything we taught you? After all the sacrifices I made raising you in the Christian faith?" Melissa's father, a usually calm man, shook his head in disbelief. "This is a joke, right?" he said. But Melissa remained calm. She knew this wasn't the time to argue or defend herself. She simply said, "I don't want to hurt anyone, but I can't lie anymore." Her mother cried, "You're insulting your own family, Melissa. Religion isn't just a belief, it's our identity. What will people at church say? My friends?" Melissa leaned in, wanting to touch her mother's hand, but was refused. "No," her mother said, "you're not the daughter I knew anymore." From that night on, her mother refused to speak to her. Melissa returned home with swollen eyes, but a resolute heart. She had no regrets. She knew that being honest with her family was part of the test of her faith. The following days were lonely. Her mother blocked her phone number. She wasn't invited to subsequent family gatherings. Her younger brother, Jason, simply texted, "You can do whatever you want, but why become a Muslim?" "That's extreme." Melissa cried alone in her apartment. She had lost not only her place in her mother's heart, but also the security she once found in family togetherness. She even wondered if she had come out too quickly. But in those lonely nights, she found solace in her prostration. In every prayer, she asked for one thing: "Oh Allah, open the hearts of my family. Don't let our love be destroyed by prejudice and fear." Time passed. 2 months after that incident, her mother fell ill and was hospitalized. Without thinking, Melissa went. She sat by her mother's bedside, not caring if she would be kicked out. But to her surprise, her mother didn't. Her mother looked at her with tired eyes and said softly, "Are you still praying for me?" Melissa nodded. Every night, tears rolled down her mother's cheeks. "I don't understand your religion, but you haven't turned into a bad person. That's what I can't understand." From then on, their relationship slowly improved. Although her mother hadn't yet accepted Islam, she began to accept that her daughter had become more patient, more loving, and stronger since becoming a Muslim. Her father, who had previously been silent, began sending her text messages. "Be careful on the road," or "Happy birthday." Although he never mentioned religion, Melissa knew it was a tacit acceptance. The most surprising thing was her younger brother, Jason. One day he came to Melissa's apartment with a copy of Islam for Dummies. "I still don't understand why you chose this," he said as he sat down, "but I want to understand, at least from your perspective." They spent hours discussing God, destiny, Sharia, even the hijab. And for the first time in their lives, Jason listened with his heart. The changes in Melissa began to be felt by her family, even by those who initially rejected her. She never forced Islam on anyone. She simply demonstrated that faith made her more human, not more alien. Her mother now occasionally sends messages like, "Pray for me, please," and when Melissa replies, "Inshallah," she no longer responds angrily. She simply replies, "Amen." On her first Eid al-Fitr, Melissa sent halal food to her mother's house. Although she didn't celebrate, her mother accepted it and even said, "Your food is delicious. Maybe you can cook it for Thanksgiving next." It was a small, hand-free hug. Conclusion: Melissa Carter's family's reaction to her decision to become Muslim was tumultuous. But like water wearing a waystone, patience and love slowly opened closed hearts. She didn't lose her family. Instead, she helped them discover who she truly was. Melissa knows her life hasn't been easy, but she also knows that love based on faith and honesty will find its way back. She isn't separating herself from her family. She's striving to build their relationship on mutual understanding, not control. "I chose Islam not to abandon my family, but to return to them as a more honest and whole person."